Hello, Collective. Welcome to the Cosmic Cradle reading for July 2026. It is actually the 22nd of July at the moment, so I believe we're kind of in the middle, around the middle of this Cosmic Cradle, which is, I think it's mainly to do with Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto aspecting one another in ways that are really bringing up some deep stuff for us, but also kind of moving us into this an expanded, more expansion of our consciousness, more expanded way of being. Yeah, and as always, it's going to be a very journal reading, so if something doesn't resonate, just let it go. Let's welcome in the archangels, ascended masters, light beings, spirit guides, our high selves, of course, and any animal, ancestral, or dragon guides that you feel resonant with, collective. Let's begin. Knight of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, the Tower, King of Swords. So it's very interesting that we have these two figures at the moment, collective, looking at one another, the Knight and the Page of Pentacles. Same suit, okay, different levels of expertise, different levels of awareness, and it could be literally that, it's two aspects of ourselves. It could be that, our inner child is looking at our inner adult at the moment. We're trying to kind of come into recognition of that. It could also be that, we could be feeling as though our past is influencing our present. And at the moment, we are also looking back into the past. So there's this idea of past and present kind of, I guess in some ways, those sort of timelines in some ways converging, and yeah, it's like they're having a conversation, which is pretty interesting. Page, of course, is the more like a fresh, new energy, something that's been identified, okay, that we are wanting to, or collective, that you are wanting to learn more about. And the Knight of Pentacles is that energy of, I guess it's about careful, methodical investigation, making plans. Sometimes it can be talking a bit about analysis or writing things down, taking care, but also doing things in a practical way. Let's grab some more cards. It's almost like, the knights of the past, or the things of the past, have sort of come back to come up in our face, so to speak. Okay, there's a lot of things that are coming up in our faces at the moment. That we are needing to process and work through. Okay, Four of Swords and the Page of Cups. We also have the Hermit. Yep, that makes total sense. And the Ten of Cups. This is, at the moment, a very interesting energy, because it's talking about this need for us, collective, to calm the mind, Four of Swords, but to also activate our creativity here, Page of Cups. I think it's going to be creativity time pretty soon, because, or if not now, because we are actually probably going through processing a lot of our shadow stuff at this time. So if we find that we're meditating or we're chilling out and stuff's coming up, okay, we are really going to have to find some creative outlets for how we are going to be able to process and release a lot of that shadow stuff, okay. Interesting thing is, underlying theme, we have the Hermit, which is once again kind of this going within energy, and the Ten of Cups. So, this is in some ways looking at our emotions. that connection between Earth, which is Hermit, and the emotions cups. And this idea of body and emotion, that sort of connection, and how we are going to be being called to look after our bodies and understand the connection between our bodies and our emotions. You know, how we feel in our body and how that affects how we feel about things generally. And I think that this soul contemplation is going to lead to, ideally this reading is about us really tapping into those emotions and the good feeling, happy feeling vibes. You know, we need to really be tuning into that, okay, and how we are going to really activate that happiness and joy within us. This Hermit is very interesting. I did spot this little serpent snake down here. So it's interesting that sometimes the snake talks about, and it is sitting there and it's kind of like an infinity symbol. Snakes are interesting because they can potentially be, you know, poisonous or have something there that's not good for us. But there's also this aspect to snakes of them shedding their skin and going through transformation and renewal. So I think they're very much the themes. We're kind of looking at what is, you know, poisoning or what's not good for us, but then also this idea of what is it that we are shedding so that we can transform. And it's like the Hermit is putting a light on that, okay? So we're really looking at those aspects of ourselves at this time, I believe. And there's going to be a lot of sudden stuff happening. I think it's the Sun is aspecting with Uranus and Neptune. So there's going to be a lot of sudden things that happen, but also this idea of us taking taking initiative, with regard to our intuition. But this is the King of Swords taking, holding our sword of truth and just going, okay, what's the best way that I can respond to this sudden thing or this sudden realization that's come through? What's the wisest way that I can respond to that? Okay, so we're going to be, I guess, applying as we move forward, applying our intellect and our reason and our wisdom to a lot of this sudden stuff that comes in. And I think the interesting thing is that the sudden realizations can be good, of course, but sometimes if they can be a bit confronting or a bit sort of shocking, things that we realize about ourselves, we're going to have to meet it with this Four of Swords and just go within. But also, just really activating that sort of truth and being very honest with ourselves. This is almost like, we're literally confronting ourselves. If this is our, the ego, this could be the higher self, okay? Or 3D and 5D self, we could really be looking at these as we move into a new timeline. We're literally looking at ourselves in a different way, probably in a more expanded way. I thought I'd do something sudden and unexpected and bring out my Wicked tarot deck here, which I haven't really used in a reading, I don't think, on the channel. But I thought, yeah, let's do something shocking. We'll see how these, basically bringing in the land of Oz here. We'll see what Oz has to say for us. 10 of Brooms, 10 of Wands, yep. Okay. The 8 of Pentacles, which is nice. 2 of Pentacles and the the Empress. Yeah, well, I was looking through some of these Wicked cards earlier and I was like, yeah. And it's interesting that the 10 of Wands and the 8 of Pentacles has come out. But let's talk about this first of all, because this is pretty awesome. Basically, Elphaba, it's that point where she goes into, the wizard's place, his, castle there, and opens this book, and all of a sudden, she can read all of the stuff and everything becomes clear to her, and obviously her, magical talents and abilities become very apparent to herself, even though it's kind of blown her mind a bit, and it's also become apparent to the people around her. And I think this is what's going to be happening, is that I think we're going to have in some ways our mind's blown. We've got the King of Swords here with the Tower, right? We're going to be surprised, but it's going to be, I think, in a good way. I guess, you know, there have been some shocking revelations, you know, recently or recent past that sort of like has the negative aspect to it. But there's going to be some really awesome revelations coming through for us, and it could be mind-blowing. Okay, so just be prepared for that. But it might be the revelations about yourself, which could be freaking awesome. And I'll just pop in there with the shadow work. Okay, sometimes this is to do with the golden shadow, which is the repressed gifts and talents that we have. Okay, collective. So I'm just putting that out there. And this is basically what Elphaba has, you know, discovered there, that part of her golden shadow is this magical ability that she has. And, you know, this is outcome for us. So we're going to be kind of going, wow, about ourselves and about things going on around us. And here we also have the Eight of Pentacles. So we're going to be channeling this Ten of Wands energy into a new way of working here. This is the Eight of Coins or Eight of Pentacles. This is Wizomania, but, you know, this is like a show, but I have a feeling this is going to be us being creative. We're going to be surprised, moving into really creative ways of being and working, okay? That's what the Eight of, I believe, the Eight of Pentacles is sort of saying there for us. What we may not be aware of here is that the Empress and the Two of Coins. This is the Two of Pentacles. I think this is that time where the Elphaba and Galinda sort of embark on the trip to Oz, and they're either leaving or they're arriving. I think they might be arriving. But obviously the Two of Pentacles is about choice, flexibility, being adaptable, okay? So I guess it means that there are going to be some choices open to us, right? There's some choices that we're going to have to make. And I think our creative adaptability, our creativity is going to come to the fore. And I think what we may not be aware of is that we have more abundance in this area than we realize, Empress. And it also means that if we do feel a bit limited in some ways, that we are still going to be able to make the most of what we do have and make the most of our talent, skills, gifts and abilities, almost despite feelings of limitation. So it's almost saying that if you feel a bit limited, for example, Eight of Swords, okay, even in the Eight of Sword energy, it's like there are still choices. There are sort of really small daily choices that we can make. And often those choices can make us either feel abundant or not abundant. Okay, so this is about the choice point of we are going to be able to choose, you know, if we are going to move into an abundant energy or if we're not. Okay, so it's all about choice here. And I think, you know, the power of choice is what they're saying, is that, you know, collective, you know, we may not be aware of it, but I think we have more choice than we realize, okay, especially with regard to our state of consciousness. Let's have a look at this beautiful Golden Age Tarot. We'll get some guidance from this one, then we'll look at the bottoms of the decks as well. Yeah. Okay. Seven of Cups, or the Labyrinth. So that's the choices open to us, okay? The different roads we can take. We have the Origins of Light or Strength. Wow. And Action Beyond the Ordinary, Page of Wands. Awesome. So the Page of Wands is the passion here that is going to be activated, okay? I think as a result of this cradle, cosmic cradle that we're experiencing, because we are releasing old stuff, we are investigating our own subconscious. By doing that investigation, by really tuning into what is emotionally uplifting for us, what brings us joy, that automatically puts us into a state of expansion, okay? So it's all about cultivating joy and how we can do that. Joy, happiness, contentment, gratitude, okay? And this is like the energy body that's going to, if the more we can do that, the more the energy body is going to come into alignment. It says action beyond the ordinary here. And that's what it's going to inspire us into. Is, you know, we already have this 10 of brooms here, which is, you know, it's out of the ordinary. This cradle, cosmic cradle, is very rare, okay? It's not an ordinary everyday event that happens when all these outer planets kind of come into these alignments, which I don't know what they are in detail, but I just know that they are, that there's a lot happening in that area at the moment. And, you know, it's like, this is the labyrinth. So we are going to be, with the help of these higher frequencies, we are going to be able to traverse almost the labyrinth of our subconscious and our consciousness mind, a conscious mind, subconscious as well, and sort of come through out on the other side, okay? And this is 7 of portals, so it's like a portal. This cradle is like a portal. Cosmic cradle energy is like a portal, and many of you could be feeling that already, that if you take some time away from the hustle and bustle, maybe just go into nature and really kind of sit, tune into yourself, you know, your soul, or take some time off at the end of the day this week at some point to just really tune in and really focus on what brings you joy in life, what you are grateful for, and how you can use your creativity, or the ways that you do use your creativity, and really give yourself a pat on the back here, collective. Okay, we're going through this portal at the moment, which is, you know, freaking awesome. Origins of Light, which is the Strength card. So this looks exactly like it. Like, we've got sort of the earth here, you know, there we are sitting here, and we have these beautiful outer planets really kind of shedding these energies down to us at the moment. It's like we are being held in a cradle, like babies getting ready to move into our next milestone, okay? Our next milestone, our next level of abundance here, Empress, okay? And yeah, our next level of awareness with regard to our passions and our creativity here, 10 of Wands in this deck, is just awesome. But also being able to, you know, sit in the stillness. We've got the Hermit and the 4 of Swords here, which is just great, because this is a really strong indication that we need to be doing regular meditation, if not mind, body, breath work, okay? Even if it's moving meditation, focusing on the energy body. If you find sitting in stillness very challenging, try and do some breath and movement, so moving meditation, something or other, okay, that's going to help you to come into a sense of connectedness with your inner self, okay? Yeah, and, you know, we're also going to be able to withstand these energies that could be, you know, a bit confronting, surprising, but we have our inner King of Swords here. This is a very wise energy. This is like a high self energy as well coming through, collective. So we're going to be meeting these ups and downs with higher self-wisdom. And I also really like how this is almost an inner child and an adult, okay? So it could be that we are coming into our adult selves, could quite possibly be finally accepting our inner child, really listening to it, doing some journaling, taking time to honor, care for, respect our inner child, and also our ability to be creative, okay? To co-create. Literally, our creativity is going to be awakening. Page of Wands here. Yeah, light codes. Our creativity is going to be awakening because we are co-creators, and this is part of our sovereignty, is for us to realize that we are creator beings. Okay, so however you can start being creative is going to be the thing to do. One of the things to do, right? 8 of Pentacles, fantastic. This person here is being very creative. But not only that, you know, okay, they're putting in the work and the effort, but they're actually making something. Okay, so this is a very creative card. It's just doubled twice in the reading. You know, we've got the Wizardmania version, and we've got, you know, the hands activity craft version. But like we said before, anything can be creative, right? It might be gardening, it might be cooking, it might be painting, whatever, singing, playing a musical instrument. But whenever you do your creative thing, really tune into that creative aspect of your soul and become very present with what it is you are doing, okay? That's the guidance we have here with meditation, creativity, Page of Cups as well, okay? So we have in this reading currently Page of Wands, Page of Cups, Page of Pentacles. So inner child coming forward, inner creative divine child, children, okay, is what you are, what you have within you, collective. Two of Wands, yeah. New doorway opening because of this beautiful cosmic cradle we are experiencing at the moment. King of Swords again, but isn't that interesting? The King of Swords in this deck, of course, is talking about the Wizard of Oz. And as we know in the story, this king here is a bit on the corrupt side. Okay. So once again, this is about being truthful and honest here rather than being deceptive and deceitful. Of course, both energies have intelligence, right? But it's going to be a choice as to how we use our energy. Okay. Are we being truthful and honest and in alignment as much as we can? Because that's what these higher frequencies are going to expose, any untruth, basically. So it's kind of like really looking at that, looking at the two sides of yourself, your being, but also, you know, the world around you. If you feel like you can tune into when something's deceptive, then it might be a good idea to not become overly embroiled, enmeshed and involved in that deception. Maybe just pull away and go, okay, so that's deceptive. I'm going to go over here where I can experience more authenticity, truth, and transparency and honesty. Okay. Wow. Collective awakening. Collective awakening. Look at this beautiful image of this unicorn. It's like a celestial unicorn. This is literally the Judgment or the Call card in this tarot deck, and it says collective awakening. This is what's happening at the moment. I have chills. I know we've been going through this awakening for a long time, but these energies at the moment are particularly freaking awesome. Okay, so if you want to do something, start something creative or start something intuitive, whatever you can get into flow with, this is the go. Okay, this is the go. Page of Cups. Creative, intuitive, spiritual, right? Page of Wands, passion, aligning, maybe doing some mind-body energy work. Beautiful, connecting with Gaia, okay? Page of Pentacles, doing something practical, doing something that, I guess, lights you up on the inside, that helps you to feel satisfied and also satisfies your curiosity, okay? If you're really wanting to learn about something that you're passionate about, do that, okay? So, yeah, energies, this is fantastic. Collective awakening. That is so awesome. And I'm just going to hold this card up here really close, so if you want to zoom in on that, there's actually like a galaxy very far in the distance there. So it's almost this idea as well of the, you know, the outer planets having this beautiful influence on us at this time. You know, Neptune is associated with intuition. Of course, Uranus is that energy of like sudden sort of upheavals and change. But that's the, you know, revolution and change is the Uranus energy. Pluto is very deep, like this very deep subconscious healing and probably generational. Like some of us at this time are probably going through generational and ancestral healing, or we are the ones that are healing those previous timelines, okay, those eras, all those energies that we've been holding in our fields, we're healing and releasing that as well. Yeah, and of course Jupiter, the expansion, the opening to a greater level of awareness within ourselves, but also a greater level of awareness with regard to what's happening around us, okay, within us, around us, you know, so this is just awesome. Wow, that is fantastic. I hope that's been helpful, collective. I think we might wrap it up there, but, you know, a lot of beautiful cup energy here. Yeah, and we have the Empress as well, you know, abundance, understanding, peace, harmony, balance, earth connection. The Empress and the Hermit together, very earthy. So grounding with Gaia. Okay, Gaia is going to be our best friend during these ups and downs. But we're going through an awakening. Okay, like we have said, you know, don't be surprised if you get surprised. Okay, in a good way. So there we are. I think we're going to wrap it up there.
I hope that's been helpful. Look forward to the next collective reading, and in the meantime, have a great day, a fantastic week or month, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.